The smell of charcoal and cheap beer hung thick in our backyard, like a promise that was about to get broken. I should have known something was coming when Rachel started laughing too loud at her own jokes, that shrill sound she made when she'd had 3 glasses of wine and was feeling dangerous. "You know what?" she announced to our entire neighborhood, waving her plastic cup like a conductor's baton. "Who wants to trade husbands? Mine's low maintenance, house trained, and comes with his own toolbox." The circle of neighbors erupted in that uncomfortable laughter people make when someone crosses a line, but nobody wants to be the first to say so. I stood there holding my beer, watching my wife of 12 years auction me off like a used lawnmower, and felt something cold settle in my chest. "Rachel," I said quietly, but she was just getting started. "Seriously, folks, Nick Palmer, going once, going twice, he fixes things, he's quiet, and best of all, no ambition whatsoever. You'll never have to worry about him bothering you with big dreams or career moves." The laughter was getting more nervous now. Marcia Henderson from 2 houses down was staring into her drink. Pete Morrison looked like he wanted to disappear into his lawn chair. Even Greg Stanton, Rachel's boss from the real estate office, who'd been lurking by the grill all evening, seemed uncomfortable. And that's when Amanda King spoke up. "I'll take him." The backyard went dead quiet, except for the hiss of burgers on the grill. Amanda stood there in her sundress, glass of wine balanced perfectly in her manicured fingers, looking at Rachel with a smile that could cut glass. "Excuse me?" Rachel's voice had gone up an octave. "You heard me. I'll take your husband." Amanda's eyes found mine across the circle. "When should I pick him up?" The crowd was waiting for the punchline, but Amanda wasn't laughing. Neither was I. After what I'd discovered 3 weeks ago, Rachel's late nights at the office, her sudden interest in new lingerie, the way she'd started password protecting her phone, this felt like the universe handing me a gift-wrapped exit strategy. "Saturday works," I said, setting down my beer. "I'll have my bags packed." Rachel's face went white. "Nick, you can't be serious." "Why not? You just spent 10 minutes explaining to everyone how tradable I am. Amanda here seems to appreciate the merchandise." I looked around at our neighbors, these people who'd watched Rachel belittle me at every barbecue, every block party, every chance she got. "Unless you're saying you didn't mean it?" "I was joking." "Were you?" I asked, because it sounded pretty sincere to me, especially the part about having no ambition. Amanda stepped forward, and I caught a whiff of her perfume, something expensive that Rachel would never buy because she'd say it was wasteful. "So it's settled then. Saturday morning, say 10 o'clock? "Perfect," I said. "I'll be ready." The party broke up pretty quickly after that. People mumbled excuses about early mornings and babysitters, while Rachel stood frozen by the picnic table, finally understanding that her little joke had just blown up in her face. As Amanda walked past me toward the gate, she paused and whispered, "By the way, Nick, I've seen your work, that deck you built for the Johnsons, the kitchen renovation at the Garcias. You've got plenty of ambition. Your wife just never bothered to notice." That night, Rachel tried everything. Tears, apologies, accusations that I was overreacting. She followed me around the house as I packed my things, her voice getting higher and more desperate with each item I folded into my duffel bag. "You're really going to leave me for that divorced slut?" "I'm not leaving you for anyone, Rachel. I'm leaving you for me. This is insane. It was a joke." Whoa. I stopped packing and looked at her. Really looked at her. When had she become this person? When had the woman I married turned into someone who thought humiliating me in public was entertainment? "You want to know what's insane?" I said. "What's insane is that I've been killing myself for 12 years trying to make you happy, building my business from nothing, working weekends, saving every penny so you could have your dream house, your new car, your fancy clothes. And you repay me by telling everyone I have no ambition." "Nick, please." I found the credit card statements, Rachel, the hotel charges, the restaurant bills for 2 when you said you were working late. Her face crumpled, but I kept going. "So yeah, maybe this trade is exactly what we both need." Saturday morning came with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes everything feel possible. I was waiting on the front porch with my bags when Amanda's silver Lexus pulled into the driveway. She got out wearing jeans and a sweater that probably cost more than Rachel spent on groceries in a month, but she wore them like they were nothing special. "Ready for this?" she asked, popping her trunk. "More than ready." Rachel appeared in the doorway as I loaded my stuff into Amanda's car. She'd been crying. Her eyes were puffy and her hair was a mess. For a second, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "Nick, please don't do this. We can work it out. I'll go to counseling, whatever you want." "Ooh." I turned to face her one last time. "You had 12 years to work it out, Rachel." You chose to work on Greg instead. Amanda slid into the driver's seat and started the engine. As we pulled away, I saw Rachel collapse against the doorframe, finally understanding that her little game had cost her everything. So, Amanda said as we drove toward her house 3 blocks over, how does it feel to be traded up? I looked back at the house I'd renovated with my own hands, the yard I'd landscaped, the life I'd built for a woman who saw it all as a joke. Like the best deal I ever made. Amanda's house was everything mine wasn't. Clean lines, expensive furniture, and the kind of quiet that comes from living alone instead of walking on eggshells. She showed me to the guest room, which was bigger than the master bedroom I'd shared with Rachel. Make yourself at home, she said, setting fresh towels on the bed. I've got coffee downstairs when you're ready. I unpacked slowly, hanging my clothes in a closet that smelled like cedar instead of Rachel's overwhelming perfume. Through the window, I could see my old house. Rachel's car was still in the driveway, but the blinds were drawn tight. Downstairs, Amanda had coffee waiting and something that smelled incredible in the oven. Blueberry muffins, she said, catching my expression. I stress bake. Are you stressed about this? I asked, suddenly wondering if I'd jumped from one complicated situation into another. She laughed, and it was nothing like Rachel's sharp cackle. Stressed about having a handsome man in my house who actually appreciates what I do for him. Hardly. We sat at her kitchen island, drinking coffee and eating warm muffins, while the morning sun streamed through windows that were actually clean. It occurred to me that I couldn't remember the last time Rachel and I had just sat together like this. Can I ask you something? Amanda said. How long have you known about the affair? I nearly choked on my coffee. How did you? Greg's my ex-husband. The muffin turned to sawdust in my mouth. What? We divorced 8 months ago. Caught him cheating with a client. She stirred her coffee calmly, like she was discussing the weather. Imagine my surprise when I realized the client was your wife. Oh, Jesus, Amanda. I'm sorry. I had no idea. Don't apologize. If anything, I should thank you. Your wife's little trade joke gave me the perfect opportunity for payback. She smiled, and there was something sharp in it that reminded me why smart women were dangerous. Greg thinks he's untouchable because he's the big shot broker. Rachel thinks she's clever because she's been sneaking around for months. They have no idea what's coming. What's coming? What's coming? Justice, with a side of public humiliation. She leaned forward, her eyes bright with possibility. Tell me, Nick, how good are you with social media? By Monday morning, the neighborhood was buzzing. Amanda had posted a video on the local Facebook group, security footage from her house, showing me moving in, with a caption that read, "Thanks to Rachel Palmer for the trade. Already loving the upgrade. Traded up. Best deal ever." The comments were brutal. Neighbors who'd watched Rachel dismiss me for years were suddenly taking my side. Marcia Henderson wrote, "About time someone appreciated Nick. That man built half the decks in this neighborhood." Pete Morrison added, "Rachel's loss, Amanda's gain. Good for you both." Rachel tried to do damage control, posting her own response about how it was all a misunderstanding, but the internet had already made up its mind. The video had been shared 43 times in our neighborhood group alone. My phone started ringing around 10 a.m. Nick, what the hell is going on? It was my buddy Jake from the construction crew I used to work with before starting my own business. Long story, man. Rachel and I are done. I saw the video. Amanda King, huh? Dude, you definitely traded up. That woman's got class. The calls kept coming. Clients, friends, even my sister from Portland, who'd somehow seen the video after it got shared to a home improvement group. Everyone wanted to know the story, and I found myself telling the truth for the first time in months. Yes, Rachel had been cheating. Yes, she'd been moving money out of our joint accounts. Yes, I was better off without her. And by Tuesday, Rachel was fighting back. She showed up at Amanda's house while I was replacing a broken faucet in the guest bathroom, pounding on the front door like she was trying to break it down. "I know you're in there, Nick. This is ridiculous. Come home." Amanda answered the door with her phone already recording. "Can I help you?" "You can stop playing games and give me my husband back." "Your husband? I thought you traded him to me. Don't tell me you're having buyer's remorse already." I came downstairs to find Rachel standing in Amanda's entryway, mascara streaked down her cheeks, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "Nick, please. I made a mistake. I'm sorry about Greg. I'm sorry about everything. Just come home." "Why?" I asked. "So you can make another joke about my lack of ambition at the next neighborhood party?" "I didn't mean it." "Yes, you did. You meant every word." I stepped closer, and she actually backed up. You know what I've been doing while you were screwing your boss, Rachel? Building a business. I've got 6 crews working for me now, a waiting list 3 months long, and more money in my personal account than you've ever seen. But you never bothered to ask about any of it, because you were too busy assuming I was a failure. And her face went white. 6 crews? And Palmer Construction. Maybe you've seen the signs around the neighborhood? We did the Morrisons addition, the Hendersons' new garage, the Garcia's kitchen remodel. You know, all those projects you said I'd never be good enough to handle. Amanda stepped beside me, her presence warm and supportive. I think you should leave now, Rachel. Nick's made his choice. This isn't over, Rachel said, but her voice had lost its edge. She looked small standing there, diminished by her own lies. Yeah, it is, I said. It's been over since the moment you decided Greg was worth more than 12 years of marriage. After she left, Amanda and I sat on her couch, the adrenaline slowly wearing off. Feel good? She asked. Better than I have in years. She curled up against my side, and for the first time since this whole thing started, I wondered if maybe I wasn't just escaping one relationship. Maybe I was finding something better. So what's next? I asked. Amanda's smile was pure mischief. Now we really make them pay. Amanda's plan was elegant in its simplicity. Use Rachel and Greg's own arrogance against them. She'd learned a few things about reputation management during her divorce, and she was ready to put that education to work. The beauty of social media, she explained over breakfast Wednesday morning, is that people love a good story. And we've got the best story in town, the cheating wife who traded away the best thing she had. She'd already started phase 1. The neighborhood Facebook group was still buzzing about the trade, but now Amanda was sharing photos of the work I was doing around her house. A new deck railing here, custom shelving there, each post tagged with #traded up and #best handyman ever. The comments were gold. Wish my husband was half as handy. Rachel must be kicking herself. How do I get on Nick's waiting list? But it was the professional damage that really hurt. Rachel's real estate business depended on her reputation in the community, and that reputation was taking a beating. Amanda had made sure to mention, casually, that Rachel was Greg's employee. People started connecting the dots. I heard from Cindy Martinez that 3 of Rachel's listings got pulled this week, Amanda told me Thursday evening as we sat on her newly repaired deck. Apparently the sellers don't want to work with someone who can't even keep her own marriage together. I should have felt bad about that. Maybe the old Nick would have. But the old Nick hadn't discovered his wife's secret credit card, the one she'd been using to pay for hotel rooms and expensive dinners while telling him they needed to cut back on groceries. What about Greg? Amanda's smile turned predatory. Greg's about to have a very bad week. Friday morning, I was installing new cabinet hardware in Amanda's kitchen when my phone rang. Jake from my old crew was laughing so hard he could barely talk. Dude, you have to see this. Someone posted a video in the contractors group of your wife's boss getting his BMW towed from the Marriott parking lot. Apparently he's been using the hotel as his personal love nest, but he forgot to pay his parking tickets. I looked at Amanda, who was innocently reading her tablet at the kitchen table. That's terrible, I said. How irresponsible. Gets better. The tow truck driver said there were women's clothes all over the back seat. Real classy operation your wife was running with this guy. After I hung up, Amanda looked up from her tablet with wide, innocent eyes. Something wrong? You called in those parking tickets, didn't you? I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just a concerned citizen who believes in following traffic laws. That afternoon, Rachel showed up at my job site. I was overseeing the installation of a new kitchen at the Thompson house when she marched through the front door like she owned the place. We need to talk, she announced, ignoring Mrs. Thompson's shocked expression. I'm working, I said, not looking up from the cabinet I was adjusting. This has gone far enough, Nick. The whole neighborhood is talking about us. Yeah, I heard. Bad for business? Her face flushed red. You're destroying my reputation. I'm not doing anything. You destroyed your own reputation when you decided to screw your married boss. Mrs. Thompson gasped. Rachel spun around, apparently just realizing we had an audience. This is a private conversation. No, I said, finally looking at her. This is you showing up at my workplace to harass me. Mrs. Thompson, would you mind calling the police? I think my ex-wife is trespassing. Rachel's eyes went wide. Ex-wife? Filed the papers yesterday. You'll be getting them Monday. I turned back to my work. Irreconcilable differences. Specifically, you screwing other people. She left without another word, but not before Mrs. Thompson got a good look at her face. By evening, the story had made its way through the neighborhood network. Rachel Palmer, caught cheating, making scenes at job sites, reputation in ruins. Amanda was waiting for me when I got home. And yes, I was thinking of her house as home now. She had wine open and something delicious in the oven. "How was your day, dear?" she asked with mock domesticity. "Eventful." Rachel made a scene at the Thompson job. "I heard. Mrs. Thompson called to book you for her bathroom renovation. Apparently watching you handle your crazy ex-wife convinced her you're the man for the job. We ate dinner on the deck, watching the sun set over the neighborhood. I could see my old house from here, dark except for the blue glow of the television in the living room. Rachel's car was in the driveway, but Greg's BMW was nowhere to be seen. Think he's backing off?" I asked. "Greg, never. He's too arrogant to cut his losses. He'll double down, try to prove he's still in control. And when he does," Amanda's smile was sharp as a blade, "we'll be ready for him." Saturday morning brought the neighborhood farmers market, a weekly tradition where everyone gathered to buy overpriced vegetables and gossip about their neighbors. I'd been dreading it, but Amanda insisted we go. "Hiding makes you look guilty," she said. "We're going to walk through there like we own the place." She was right, of course. The moment we appeared, conversations stopped. But instead of the awkward silence I'd expected, people started approaching us. The Hendersons wanted to know about getting their basement finished. The Garcias needed a new fence. Pete Morrison, 3 beers into his morning, slapped me on the back and announced to anyone within earshot that I was the smartest guy in the neighborhood. "Trading up," he shouted, raising his beer. "That's how you do it." We were browsing the herb stand when Greg appeared, looking like he'd slept in his car. His usually perfect hair was disheveled, his expensive shirt wrinkled, and there was something desperate in his eyes. "Amanda," he said, ignoring me completely. "We need to talk." "I don't think so," she replied coolly, selecting a bunch of basil. "This is between us. You can't use him to get back at me." "Use him?" Amanda straightened up, and I saw the steel in her spine that had probably made her successful in her own career. "Greg, you pathetic little man. I didn't use anyone. I simply recognized quality when I saw it, something you never learned how to do." People were starting to stare. Greg's face was turning red, and his hands were clenched into fists. "You think you're so smart, don't you? You and your little revenge fantasy?" "It's not revenge," I said quietly. "It's justice." "Ho, ho, ho." He spun toward me, and for a second I thought he might actually throw a punch. "You have no idea what you're dealing with, Palmer. I could destroy you with one phone call." "Ho, ho, the Better Business Bureau. I've got a 5-star rating and a 3-month waiting list." "The bank?" "My credit's perfect and my business account is healthier than it's ever been." I stepped closer, close enough that he had to look up to meet my eyes. "Or maybe you mean Rachel. Because I hate to break it to you, but she's not exactly in a position to help anyone right now." This isn't over," he snarled. "Yeah, it is," Amanda said. "You just don't know it yet." As we walked away, I could feel the eyes of the entire neighborhood on us. But instead of shame, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: pride. "Think we pushed him too far?" I asked. Amanda squeezed my arm. "I'm counting on it." Greg's retaliation came Monday morning in the form of a cease and desist letter, delivered to Amanda's house by a courier who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. The letter, printed on expensive law firm letterhead, accused me of harassment, defamation, and interference with Greg's business relationships. "Impressive," Amanda said, reading over my shoulder as we sat at her kitchen table. "He actually found a lawyer willing to put this nonsense on paper. Should I be worried about this?" She waved the letter dismissively. "This is the legal equivalent of a temper tantrum. Greg's trying to scare you, but he doesn't have a case. You haven't done anything but exist and succeed, and that's not illegal." She was right, but the letter still bothered me. It felt like an escalation, a sign that Greg wasn't going to just fade away quietly. My phone rang around noon. Rachel's name appeared on the screen, and against my better judgment, I answered. "Nick, what did you do to Greg?" "Good morning to you too, Rachel. I'm fine, thanks for asking." "This isn't funny. He's talking about lawsuits, about destroying your business. He's completely lost it. Maybe he should have thought about that before he started screwing married women." "We're in love, Nick." "I know you don't want to hear that, but it's true. We're planning to get married." I looked at Amanda, who was pretending not to listen while she loaded the dishwasher. "Congratulations. I hope you'll be very happy together. In fact, I'm sure you will be, right up until he cheats on you too." "He's not going to cheat on me." He cheated with you, Rachel. What makes you think you're special? The silence stretched long enough that I thought she'd hung up. I know you hate me, she finally said, but please don't let him destroy you. Whatever's happening between you and Amanda, just be careful. Are you warning me about your boyfriend? I'm warning you about a man who doesn't like to lose. After she hung up, I told Amanda about the conversation. Interesting, she said. Sounds like even Rachel's starting to see who Greg really is. Or she's trying to manipulate me. Maybe both. Amanda dried her hands and turned to face me. Either way, we need to be ready for whatever he's planning. We didn't have to wait long. Tuesday evening, I was finishing up a job at the Wilson house when my phone exploded with notifications. Someone had posted a review on my business page, a vicious one-star rant accusing me of shoddy workmanship, overcharging, and unprofessional behavior. The username was fake, but the writing style was familiar. Greg had apparently decided to attack my business directly. Can you prove it was him? Amanda asked when I showed her the review. Not in court, but I know it was him. Then we respond in kind. Amanda's response was swift and surgical. Within an hour, she'd posted her own review praising my work, complete with before and after photos of every project I'd completed at her house. She tagged 5 neighbors who'd hired me, and they all chimed in with their own glowing reviews. But more importantly, she'd done some digging on Greg's business practices. Did you know your ex-wife's boyfriend has been cited twice by the Real Estate Commission for ethics violations? She asked, showing me her laptop screen. No, but I'm not surprised. Apparently he's been steering clients toward properties he has a financial interest in without disclosing it. That's illegal. What are you going to do with that information? Her smile was pure wickedness. Share it with the right people. Wednesday morning brought a knock at Amanda's door. I opened it to find 2 of my former friends, Dave and Mike, standing on the porch, with expressions I couldn't read. Nick, Dave said, we need to talk. I'd known Dave and Mike since high school. We'd been groomsmen in each other's weddings, spent countless weekends watching football and complaining about our wives. But I hadn't heard from either of them since the barbecue. Come in, I said, stepping aside. They followed me into Amanda's living room, looking around like they were casing the joint. Nice place, Mike said, but there was something off in his tone. Amanda's got good taste. Speaking of Amanda, Dave said, we heard some things. What kind of things? That she's using you to get back at her ex-husband. That this whole thing is some kind of setup. I felt my jaw tighten. Where'd you hear that? Does it matter? Look, man, we've been friends for 20 years. We're worried about you. Worried about what? Mike shifted uncomfortably. You're making a fool of yourself, Nick. Running around with this woman. Destroying your marriage over what? Some midlife crisis? Destroying my marriage? I stood up, suddenly understanding where this was going. My marriage was destroyed the minute Rachel decided to start screwing her boss. Where were you guys when that was happening? Where was all this concern for my well-being? We didn't know about that, Dave said. Bullshit. Everyone knew. The whole neighborhood knew. But nobody said anything because it was easier to let me be the clueless husband. That's not fair. What's not fair is you 2 showing up here to lecture me about making a fool of myself when I'm finally standing up for myself for the first time in years. Amanda appeared in the doorway, and I could see Dave and Mike's expressions change. They looked her up and down like she was something they might buy. Everything okay? She asked. Just some old friends stopping by to share their opinions about my life choices, I said. How thoughtful. Amanda's voice was honey over steel. I'm Amanda, by the way, the woman who's apparently corrupting your friend. We didn't say that, Mike protested. You didn't have to. It's written all over your faces. She moved to stand beside me, her presence warm and supportive. Let me guess. Rachel sent you. Dave's face flushed red. She's concerned about Nick. I'm sure she is. Concerned that he's finally seeing what he's worth. Amanda looked at both men with the kind of smile that could cut glass. Tell me something. In all the years you've known Nick, how many times did you hear Rachel put him down? How many jokes did you laugh at when she called him lazy, or stupid, or worthless? That's not. How many times did you stand up for him? How many times did you tell her to show her husband some respect? The silence was deafening. That's what I thought, Amanda said. You're not here because you're worried about Nick. You're here because seeing him happy makes you realize how miserable your own lives are. You don't know anything about our lives, Mike snapped. I know you're the kind of men who let their friend get emotionally abused for years without saying a word, then show up to criticize him when he finally finds someone who treats him right. Dave stood up abruptly. We're leaving. Good idea, I said. As they headed for the door, Mike turned back. This isn't going to end well, Nick. Mark my words. It already ended well. I replied. The day I stopped caring what people like you think. After they left, Amanda and I sat on the couch in silence for a long moment. I'm sorry, she finally said. For what? Losing my temper. Those are your friends. No, they're not. Real friends don't do what they just did. I took her hand, marveling at how right it felt. Real friends stand by you when things get tough. Real friends celebrate when you find happiness. And so what do we do now? I thought about Rachel's warning, about Greg's threats, about the battle lines being drawn in our quiet suburban neighborhood. Now we finish this. Amanda's plan for the neighborhood block party was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of hiding from the gossip and speculation, we were going to embrace it. She sent out invitations to everyone on our street, advertising it as a celebration of new beginnings. Let them all come, she said as we addressed envelopes. Let them see what happiness looks like. The party was set for Saturday afternoon in Amanda's backyard. She hired caterers, rented tables and a sound system, and even arranged for a local band. It was the kind of event that would have cost Rachel 3 months of planning and twice as much money, but Amanda pulled it together in a week. Friday night, as we were setting up lights in the backyard, my phone rang. Jake from my old crew was laughing again. Dude, you're not going to believe this. Greg Stanton just got fired. I nearly dropped the string of lights I was hanging. What? Fired, canned, shown the door. Apparently someone sent the real estate commission a whole file of evidence about his shady dealings. They suspended his license, and his brokerage dropped him like a hot potato. I looked at Amanda, who was arranging flowers on the tables with an expression of perfect innocence. That's terrible, I said. I hope he lands on his feet. Gets better. Word is his wife found out about the affair and cleaned out their joint accounts before filing for divorce. Dude's broke, unemployed, and homeless all in the same week. After I hung up, Amanda looked up from her flowers. Something interesting? She asked. You know exactly what it was. I have no idea what you mean. I'm just a woman planning a party. Mahas. Saturday dawned clear and warm. Perfect weather for what Amanda had dubbed the event of the season. By 2 o'clock, Amanda's backyard was packed with neighbors, friends, and what felt like half the local construction community. The mood was festive, celebratory even. People kept congratulating us on finding each other, as if our relationship was some kind of neighborhood fairy tale. The Hendersons brought a cake shaped like a house. Pete Morrison showed up with a cooler full of beer and a toast prepared about trading up in life. Mahas. I was manning the grill, flipping burgers and accepting compliments on the deck I'd built for Amanda, when I saw Rachel's car pull up across the street. She sat there for a long time, just watching the party through her windshield. Even from a distance, I could see she looked terrible, thin, pale, like she hadn't been sleeping. Part of me felt sorry for her, a very small part. Amanda appeared beside me with a fresh beer. She's been sitting there for 20 minutes. Think she'll come over? I hope so. This party wouldn't be complete without her. As if summoned by Amanda's words, Rachel got out of her car. She'd tried to dress up for the occasion, but her clothes hung loose and her makeup couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes. Mahas. The party quieted as she walked across the street and through Amanda's gate. Conversations stopped mid-sentence as our neighbors watched the drama unfold. Hello, Nick, she said, stopping a few feet from the grill. Rachel, you look... I searched for something kind to say. You look like you need to eat something. Want a burger? Mahas. She almost smiled at that. Always taking care of people, even the ones who don't deserve it. Everyone deserves to eat. That's not what I meant, and you know it. She looked around at the party, at the happy faces, at the life I'd built without her. I came to apologize. The backyard had gone completely silent now. Even the band had stopped playing. You don't need to do this here, I said quietly. Yes, I do. These people watched me tear you down for years. They deserve to hear me admit I was wrong. She turned to face the crowd, and I saw her hands were shaking. Most of you have known Nick and me for years, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. You've watched me. You've seen how I treated him. The jokes, the put-downs, the constant criticism. I told myself it was harmless, just teasing between spouses. But it wasn't harmless, was it? The crowd was frozen, unsure whether to watch or look away. I convinced myself that Nick was holding me back, that he wasn't ambitious enough, wasn't successful enough, wasn't enough. But the truth is, I was the one who wasn't enough. I wasn't a good enough wife to see what I had. I wasn't a good enough person to appreciate a man who loved me unconditionally. Tears were streaming down her face now, but she kept going. So I threw it away. I threw away 12 years of marriage for a man who promised me everything and delivered nothing. A man who's now facing criminal charges for fraud. A man who dumped me the minute his world started falling apart. I looked at Amanda, who was watching Rachel with an expression I couldn't read. Nick, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I hurt you in ways that can't be undone. But I need you to know that I see it now. I see what I lost. And Amanda, she turned to face my new partner. Thank you for showing him what he's worth. Thank you for giving him the life he deserves. The silence stretched for what felt like hours. Then Amanda stepped forward. Rachel, she said gently, would you like to stay for a while? Have something to eat? Rachel shook her head. I can't. I needed to say that. I needed everyone to hear it. She started to leave, then turned back one more time. Be happy, Nick. You deserve it more than anyone I know. After she left, the party slowly came back to life. But the mood had changed, become something deeper and more meaningful. People weren't just celebrating a new relationship. They were witnessing redemption, forgiveness, the possibility of second chances. As the sun set and the last guests filtered home, Amanda and I sat on our deck, exhausted but content. That was unexpected, I said. The best endings usually are. Is it an ending or a beginning? Amanda curled up against my side, and I marveled again at how perfectly she fit there. Both, she said.